Hello YouTube. Today we got a deck profile of the ABC deck that I am very excited to start playing in paper. I don't own all the pieces in paper yet because they will be coming in the mail. I won't get them till Tuesday. My locals doesn't typically do like pre-sales for singles or stuff like that, so I had to go the traditional route and just buy from Gamer's Choice. So won't have them for this weekend. But I wanted to get the video out because I think this deck is really sweet. I have been playing ABC for a bit now, as you saw in the past with the 50 card like field spell rotation deck where you're playing like Fenrir, Horus, and all that stuff, and now you just don't need to play all that. You do play quite a few bricks still, which is why we're on 50. I'm going to do some explanations in the deck profile once we start. If you enjoy this type of content, please remember to comment, rate, subscribe. This is pretty different than what I normally do. I'm just kind of like testing this out, throwing it out there. The support's new. People are excited for it. I'm excited for it. I think this deck is a load of fun. I might take this to a regional or something, but I would never take this to something like a YCS because it is just so bricky and it's just susceptible. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and get it out here, and we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna start with the biggest brick, which is X Head Cannon, but is an engine requirement for this guy, X Cross Cannon. So X Cross Cannon is the new one-card starter. If you control a light machine or union, you can special it, and then during the main phase ignition, you can equip a light monster from your extra deck or from your main deck to it. As a light machine union that can also be an appropriate target, which is everything that we play, but you're light locked. So that's the biggest weakness to Cross Cannon. Why Yarhead and Z Zillion Tank is they light lock you. Not too big for this deck, we're all playing light, so it works just fine. But it is a concession that we can't do things like IP, we can't do the about stuff. There's a lot of things you have to like forego to play this, but I think this build is just so much more fun. So yeah, 3 X Cross, Y and Z. So Y Yarhead, when it's special summoned, you can equip a level 4 light machine monster from your hand or grave to it as an equip spell, and it can special summon itself from the back row like every other Union monster, where you can only do one of those. Special summons are moved back once per turn. That is a soft once per turn, so every time you bring this back from the grave to an equip or if to the field, you can equip again. And Z is the same thing as Y, except it only attaches from Banish, but it has the same like soft once per turn restrictions. I think one of each is fine. There are bricks. You don't really want to play multiples. You don't really want to see them in your opening hand. They are Union monsters for Union Hanger, so I guess they could be worse, but I don't want to see multiples. And for the actual ABC pieces, we're on 2A, 2B, 2C. You just have to play 2 of each right now. The Bestials are rampant, and the way this deck in particular is constructed, you need the extra light targets to search off of B for Galaxy Soldier. There is a different route you can go with it using Ptolemaeus rather. But Ptolemaeus takes a lot of extra setup, and sometimes Ptolemaeus is kind of doesn't really help, not contradictory, but it just doesn't help because Galaxy Soldier can put missing pieces into your grave, which sometimes does actually matter. So I liked playing Galaxy Soldier for now, but there is a other way to do it if you don't want to play Galaxy Soldier. With the impending ban list, I think that there's a chance that I can go down to 1A and 1C once Bestials get hit if they do. But for now, we have to play it like this. One Union Driver, the other brick. This one is much more nuisance of a brick than Torque Tune, and the reason that Torque Tune is less of a nuisance of a brick is because we can search it in a bunch of different ways, like Union Hanger, and then we can use Controller to summon it, and then Controller can still be made Ancient Fairy at that point. So there are ways around having Torque Tune or having to use Union Driver too early and you can't get access to it off of that, or if you just draw Torque Tune. So there are at least decent enough applications to use for it. Obviously, don't want to draw it, but Torque Tune, in my opinion, is a better one other than Union Driver. 2 Galaxy Soldier. This has been a mainstay for ABC for a while now. It's searchable, so we only need to play 2. We don't need to play 3. Leave one dead one in the deck. Helps you put pieces into the grave. It's just really good, obviously. Like Infinity and Nova are crazy. And then 1 Regulus, 1 Disc Coliseum. I think these 2 are bricks. Yes, they're really good installation. And yes, they are very good like board presence cards, but the issue is they don't start your plays, and without the RNG luck of tuning that I was playing previously, there's no way to like have this be a starter, if that makes sense. Because you won't just randomly mill a piece and then summon Regulus to make Platinum Gadget. But Regulus is still part of this particular version's end board. In the 40, 45 card versions, I don't play Regulus because I don't like playing these bricks. I see people online playing 2 of each, and it kind of bewilders me. I get the power of the card, but I don't think it's worth playing. And most of the time, whenever you're playing this deck, if you have the dream set up, your Regulus is going to be on the field. You're going to use it. You're going to use Disc Coliseum, and like your Rabbit or something gets beat over, then you can add Regulus back. Like if your Rabbit gets negated or whatever. So there's reasons to only play 1. I don't think I'd ever play 2 anymore. 3 Union Hanger. It's a 1-card combo. Card's busted. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. 3 Union Activation. This card is crazy strong. For those who don't know, you send a Light Machine, Normal, or Union monster from your hand or deck. So even if you draw X Cannon, you can still activate this. And then you add a Light Machine with the same attack but different name. So the targets are obviously X head to X cross, and then you can dump a copy of B to add Y or Z. Or vice versa if you need to get access to B for whatever reason. The Banish from Grave effect is you add a monster with 3,000 or more attack from your deck to your hand, and then you immediately normal summon. We're not playing the card for that. The card is Beast Machine King Barbaros. He's a level 8 Earth Machine monster, and whenever he's normal summoned using 3 tributes, you Regeki your opponent's field. So, as an option, if you don't want to play Torque Tune and Ancient Fairy, you can easily just put Regulus in here, but Barbaros. I'm not going to be doing that right now. I will probably do it in some other builds. Like this is going to be one of my decks that I play primarily, other than like Blue Eyes, until we get the Malice support. So lots of fun brews for this coming out soon. But anyway, Union Activation card's absolutely crazy. It gets you either side that you're missing, and this one might be a little weird to most people, is unauthorized reactivation. I'm only playing 2. I was only playing 1, but there were a few matches online. I'm like 15-2 or 15-3 or something like that with this deck on ranked. I know it's a Mega, not DB, so it's not like all that impressive, but where you chain this to Valor, you chain this to Imperm, and you can protect your X Cross, and then you just get like so much insane value. It's basically just more copies of Cross Out and Called By, but in that same respect, it is just a copy of Cross Out or Called By. So it doesn't actually get you started. You can equip Union Driver with this and start with that, which is the reason I ended up including the second one, because it gives you ways to play if you draw awkward. It's also just an extra card to search off of Union Controller if you've already gone through Activation and Hanger. So, in my opinion, it's worth playing at 2. I'll never play 3 of this card. I don't think it's very good to play at 3. The Terraforming to get the Union Hanger or Disc Coliseum. You'll never really get Disc Coliseum off this, but it's an option. Disc Coliseum, like I talked about with the Regulus. 3 Small World. So, when I went up... So, initially, the deck was 44 cards, and I was having issue fitting non-engine. And after doing math and stuff, 50 cards with 16 non-engine worked very well to draw 2. It was like 60-something%. And I wanted to go to 50, but I didn't want to put more non-engine because more non-engine just doesn't help you play. So that's where Small World came in. Small World can connect from any hand trap, except for Imperm, obviously, to any piece or X Cross, which is really important. So any of these hand traps do it. For example, Molcharmi Fualos has 600 defense. Nibiru has 600 defense. Nibiru is a light. Our entire deck's light, except for this idiot. So there you go. Ash Blossom, 0 attack. 0 attack. Shares light. These are all light. So you're seeing the pattern here. Ogre can turn into Nib, and vice versa to get to any of them. Valor can turn into Nib and get into any of these. There's a lot of combinations. Small World just made sense to me. It basically gives me 9 copies of X Cross Cannon, which is what I wanted. And the chances of drawing it are like 50% to draw one of the two, or one of the three rather. And I thought that was a good enough ratio to play. Then we're playing the one Azaroon for the rabbit. Cards busted. Don't need to explain rabbit. 3 crossout designator. You can. I'm kind of torn with this. I think that this deck loses really hard to specific hand traps at the specific time. So I wanted a card that I can just like hopefully draw and beat out one of them. The main ones are being the Charmies, Nib, and Droll. I'm not playing Droll in the main, but Droll also is very popular in the main in this format, so that's why I'm playing it in the main, and Droll's on the side. 3 Ash is the staple. It stops the Charmies, and it's pretty good against everything else. Like, it's got uses everywhere. 3 Fuelos. If you do not want to pay for Fuelos, and you don't have access to them already, wait for the reprint. Just switch this with Droll. Droll has the same uses. You can go Droll into Ogre into any of these because they share 0/0 on attack, and then Ogre's the light for all of them. Just switch them with Droll or switch them with a different hand trap. You don't have to play Fubulos. I have access to the card, so I'm going to play it. It helps you tremendously going second. Obviously, don't need to explain that to you. And I think that it really helps with this style of deck. So if you have access to Fubulos or Perulia or Meows, any of them, I would play the Charmies in this slot. Perulia should probably get below 20 bucks sometime soon because it was just reprinted in this set too. So hopefully, if you can get your access to Perulia, you can do that as well. 3 Veiler, 2 Nib, 2 Ogre. I really don't think these cards are that great. I mean, Nib is fantastic when paired with another hand trap, but we're not playing enough to like draw into, and like I don't really count Fuelos and Nib as a combination. And then Ogre has its uses. It's better as a breaker, ironically. It's really good into Ryzeal, and it's like okay against everything else. It's okay into Malice, so it kind of checks the big 2 boxes. It's obviously very good against Blue Eyes if they activate True Light like irresponsibly, and it's not really good against much else against Blue Eyes. Like, I guess sniping the Lordly Load effect, but like, I don't know, man. It's an okay hand trap. I think it's gonna get a lot better next format, so I kind of wanted to start prepping with it. But it also, like I said, just works with Small World and 3 Imperm. I was really debating on not playing Imperm. I was debating on playing another monster hand trap here, like Droll or something else, or even Dominus Purge. But I decided not to play Purge. I don't think it's very good in this style of deck. Purge works a lot better in control decks like Blue Eyes, where you're, well, other than Tyrant abusing it, you're kind of just like slowly whittling your opponent away. You don't have like, or you have like more of a defensive plan because you can fit more non-engine in a smaller deck count. Whereas Imperm has functions as the 6th card, where Dominus Purge doesn't. The other monster hand trap I would play in this card's place would be Droll. I didn't want to conflict with the Charmies though, so I would have to change that a bit around too into something else. I don't really know what else I'd play. But yeah, Imperm is fine. It's not like it's a bad card. It's not why I'm trying to cut it. I just kind of want a little bit more synergy with Small World, but I think the power that Imperm provides, or the versatility that Imperm provides, is a little bit better than playing something with more synergy. So that's the main deck count, 50 cards. If you take these guys out, the deck is super budget. It's like a $30 or $40 deck without these guys in it, so this is great for budget players too. Assuming you already got all of these hand traps, but like most of these have been reprinted. I think Crossout might be a couple bucks, so yeah, this deck's super cheap if you wanted to play it. For the extra deck, 2 Dragon Buster. You never really tag out the first one. I mean, unless your entire board starts getting outed. So the reason we play the second one is for the XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon for this effect, where you can banish this card from the field or grave and reveal a level 8 light machine monster into your extra deck, special summon the 3 materials from grave or banishment. This is like Nib installation in like really awkward game states, and it is also part of your end board anyway. So I figured why not just play the second Dragon Buster. That's how you'll make the second one. Your board gets gunked up with all 6 monster zones used, so you don't really have access to tag out. And the only one that really removes itself is Regulus. So 2 Union Controller, and you can definitely get away with 1 if you wanted to fit like an extra rank 4, or you wanted to play like a different type of package or something in the extra deck. You want to play Typhon for like turns, 3 and beyond, but Union Controller at 2, the reason I'm playing it is because the only effect that is once per turn is the first effect that adds a spell or trap that mentions Union Monster in its text. So if you start with this and it gets Veilered or Impermed, and you still have access to Y or Z, then you can banish this one and the Y or Z, and then summon this back, and then you can use the other effect to summon from hand. Takes a lot to do that. It is not foolproof and it requires a lot of setup, but I think that because there aren't very many good light monsters to play in the extra deck to begin with, it was worth playing it. And then we have ABC Dragon Buster at home. Same summoning requirement, but for X, Y, and Z new versions. And then once per turn, you discard a card and destroy a card on the field by targeting it. It only works on your opponent's turn, unlike Dragon Buster. So he's literally just Dragon Buster at home. Basically, just use him as follow-up. You can use him as link material for Griffin. There's a lot of reasons that you should still just play the 1. It's not essential, though. You could definitely cut it if you really wanted to. And honestly, I think going forward, I might cut it. I don't know what I'm going to cut it for. Probably something like a Detonator to play something like Metaltronus, or, something along those lines. Ancient Fairy Dragon. This is the Torque Tune Gear combo, which, speaking of that, I'm going to move these over here so I can do the 1-card combo in this video. This is the way to get to Regulus. This is also the best extender because it puts an extra body on board if you need it. Exciton Knight is our defensive rank 4, and its Exciton Knight card's pretty good. Forces interaction if they don't have it, and oops, there's your board. Galaxy Photon Dragon, that's how we're searching Galaxy Soldier. You discard a card, or attach material to either add or send a Photon or Galaxy monster from deck to hand or grave. The other effect, where if a light monster is summoned, you can make its level 4 or 8. Doesn't really come up. It can in very weird situations, and then there's probably like a build with this that actually uses that effect that you can do, because ABC is like a build your board deck. You can kind of build it however you want within constraint of the new cards now. So maybe there's a way that you play this now and make like rank 8s, like Photon Lord if you really wanted to. And I'm not going that route, so this is the tech choice that I have. Like, you really don't have many, so this is the one I'm playing. You won't use the Xyz Summon effect to summon a Photon, but while this Xyz Summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target monsters you control 2000 or attack with card effects, and they can't be destroyed by card effects. So that is really relevant if you decide that Griffin is not worth it. If your opponent's playing something like Ryzeo, where they're just going to summon X and then dump Aggregator, and then you just don't have Griffin anymore. You don't want to really waste a negate on that. So this is to help protecting everything else. If you have absolutely insane board, I'm sure there's a way you can end with this on the field too. I don't really try to build or play for those types of scenarios. This is the backup if Griffin is not good enough. And there are times where you get stopped in your combo and you have this on the field with this, and then he puts himself up to 23 off of this last effect that I didn't mention, that all white monsters gain 500. So he'll be able to protect himself too, which is really cool. Nova Infinity, the staples and their Galaxy Soldier. That's why he's here. Lina, this is to help clear up the board a bit if our board gets gunked up. It's also here as a way to help with Detonator. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Platinum Gadget is mandatory. Silhouette Hat Rabbit mandatory. Griffin's mandatory. This is part of the inboard. You don't have to play it, I guess, if you really don't want to. But yeah, it's really good. I mean, there's no reason not to play it. You can reset your Union Hanger. You can reset activation. You can reset called by or imperm. There's a lot of reasons to play it. It helps. You won't get the co-link really, but that's fine. And the side deck is just 15 cards I thought would be good for my particular locals. These can change based on what you need for your environment. So I'm playing through Lancia. I don't need to play Chaos Hunter because we don't have very many mouse players. This is more so for Crystron. 3 Phantasme, this is good against the Fiendsmith deck. So you could substitute this with Molcharmy if you really wanted to, the Perulio or Meows. I don't think those are particularly great. I really like having a card that I can like draw off of Fualos, and then like if I commit to the board with the nib or something like that, then I can drop this later if they somehow can keep playing. Also, targeting protection is pretty cool. Also, filtering bricks is a big one. So, drawing the Fualos with this, or drawing this off of Fualos feels really good because it really punishes them for using the extra deck. 3 draw, this is to help interchange. Most of the time, you can just, if you're going first, you just clean swap the Charmies out for these pretty much almost like regardless. Unless you're playing against them like Malice and you have a clean swap for Lancia. 3 droplet, this card is okay. I don't know why it's in here, honestly. I kind of just put it in here. There are scenarios where you can activate Union Activation or Small World and then like pitch the rest of your hand and then just negate the whole board. It doesn't really come up, but I kind of wanted just like a clear out type of card. And then 2 Lightning Storm, 1 Feather Duster. These are for Blue Eyes. Removing True Light and the Trap is really important. That's kind of like how they get their attrition game going. So I really just wanted cards that just dealt with that. And that's it for the deck profile. So we're going to go ahead and show a 1-card combo. All you need for this 1-card combo is X Cross Cannon. This is the premium starter. So we're going to go ahead and use X Cross, and we're going to attach the B. And like I said in the profile, this does not keep with Union Hanger or Union or unauthorized reactivations restriction that they cannot be activated or summoned. So we're going to just summon this guy. Here we're going to go into Platinum Gadget, and we're going to make Platinum. We're going to trigger B. B is going to get Y. So now we can activate the Platinum Gadget, and it's going to summon our Y. Y is going to be able to reattach the B from grave, and then B is going to be able to summon itself back. So here we've already used B twice. We're going to use it a couple more times. Here we're going to go into Union Controller. You don't have to put it in the EMZ. I kind of just do out of habit. Here we're going to add Union Hanger because again we're assuming we just started with X Cross Cannon. You can add activation if you didn't start with Cross Cannon, or you can add the unauthorized reactivation if you've already used both. So here you're going to use the Union Hanger. You're going to equip Z. And then once your Z gets added to your hand, you're going to activate the Union Controller effect. You're going to special summon Z. You're going to trigger both effects. Doesn't matter the order. The combo loses to Ogre regardless. You're going to equip Union, and then you're going to equip Y. So here you're going to activate Union, and you are going to equip the Torque Tune gear. So here you're going to summon the Torque Tune by its own effect, and this is where we make our Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy here will be able to pop our field spell, and we'll be adding Disc Coliseum to our hand. I should have probably just like recorded this ahead of time, but we're on the moment. We're going to activate Disc Coliseum just to get it out of my hand, and we're going to go ahead and add the Regulus to our hand. It's very important you don't use Y yet because B is not in grave, and how we're getting B into grave is we're going to do this. The Rabbit is going to trigger, and so is B. You can chain block the B at this point. They probably would have ashed at some point or something, but for practice sake, we're going to set Azaroon, and here we're going to start adding our other pieces to our hand. Next, we are going to activate Y, summon itself again, because like I said, these are all soft. And then we're going to use Y to equip B, and then we're going to use B and summon B. Here we're going to go ahead and overlay for our Galaxy Photon Dragon, and we are going to put him here. Galaxy Photon Dragon's effect will go off. By detaching material, we'll get Galaxy Soldier. Make sure you add it to hand. And now we don't need the Galaxy Soldier on the field anymore, so what we're going to do is we're going to use Regulus. This is now... It's now going to start with our... Sorry, my brain turned off. We're going to go ahead and start with our protection. Here we're going to go ahead and go into lineup because we need to clear spaces and put B back into the grave. We're going to go ahead and trigger B. We're going to add C. So now we're going to go ahead and put out our Infinity to protect us even more. And you'll see here how we're getting to Griffin. We're going to use this, pitch this. We're going to make Nova here. Make sure you summon it to a zone that Griffin points to. Don't put it over here. And we're going to go ahead and put Infinity on top. Next, we're going to use Wise Effect to summon itself again. And then we're going to use Wise Effect yet again to add B. Or, sorry, not add, but replace B. We're going to use B's effect here. And we're going to summon it here. And this is where we make our Nightmare Griffin. Obviously, with one card, we don't have a card to discard to get any type of follow-up, but here we're going to go ahead and activate our B effect. We're going to get a copy of B because B is now dead, and this is going to be our ABC Dragon Buster discard. And then we're going to go ahead and summon Dragon Buster. And we're going to go ahead and summon XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon. So this is what your end board will look like after everything is all said and done. It is 2 Omni Negates, a complete special summon effect lock, a banish by discard, and a spell trap pop, and a summon negate. The XYZ, like I said, will not be able to be used just because it's not linked or anything, but also like it's pretty weak. If you get your Griffin outed, then you know you get a pop out of it still. So this is kind of like a way to like help with when Griffin gets negated. But that's it for the deck profile, and this is the short combo. If you guys like the video, please comment, rate, subscribe. I would love to start doing something like this more often. And remember to comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Peace, YouTube.